what's up y'all, my name is Rachel and I'm starting a new series on my channel called Movies for Millennials. Have your parents ever quoted a movie and you had zero idea what the reference was to? It happens way too often in my household. So I learned quick that I needed to understand what these references meant if I ever wanted to understand what my parents, grandparents, or any other relatives were talking about. I had to start to watch these old movies and become familiar with all of the possible references. That's why I've created this little movie review show about famous movies of the 80s and the 90s to help out some of y'all millennials. Now, there are some different definitions of millennials out there, so don't be concerned. I consider millennials to be kids born in the 90s and about the 2000s, maybe a year after that, whatever. I was born in 2000 and I definitely do not consider myself to be a part of Gen Z. I consider myself a millennial. Either way, these reviews can help out anyone who is unfamiliar with these popular movies. To start off the series, I wanted to start off with a film that was really important to my childhood and my family, which is Top Gun. Just want to say I love this movie so much. I stole my mom's DVD copy, so she was forced to go buy a different one, and I already have planned that I'm going to name 2 dogs after Maverick and Goose, but you'll learn about them later. This film stars Tom Cruise and Kelly McGillis. Tom Cruise plays Maverick and Kelly McGillis plays Charlie. This film was released in 1986, directed by Tony Scott, written by Jim Cash and Jack Epps Jr., and it was produced by Jerry Bruckheimer and Don Simpson. Those guys produce a lot of different things. Search their names and you will find so much that'll pop up. Here's just a little synopsis of the film so you guys understand what Top Gun is all about. Top Gun is an elite school for the best of the best naval pilots. At the school, they teach aerial combat to build some of the best pilots in the world. Tom Cruise's character, Maverick, was number 2 in his flight school, but whenever their number 1 person dropped out, he got the chance to go to Top Gun with his RIO, Goose, and best friend. And the rest is history. Here's a small fun fact about the film. Tom Cruise originally was not all that stoked about joining the project, but the writers had originally envisioned Maverick's character being Tom Cruise the entire time that they wrote the script. So they had needed Tom Cruise on this project. One thing that's kind of interesting that they did was they allowed Cruise to go into one of the fighter planes, and as soon as he was done after that flight, he knew he wanted to be a part of the project. One thing that really makes this movie stand out are the characters. Just when you think you've had all of them figured out, you're instantly proved wrong. Maverick is arrogant yet charming, your typical Tom Cruise character. You want to hate him, but as the storyline goes on, you just see his sweet side and you learn so much more about his past that you really can't hate him. Goose is probably one of my favorite characters in the entire movie. He's the perfect comedic relief, and he's just a little bit different than all the other guys at Top Gun. He's got a family back home and a little bit more responsibility and more on the line if he doesn't do well at Top Gun. Moving on from some of the background stuff about this film, if you're not going to watch the whole thing, you at least need to know some of the references. Talking about quotes, scenes, all of that. So first, I'm going to talk about some iconic quotes of the film. It's hard to choose, but I'm just going to talk about 2 of them. There's so many quotes in this film that just catch your attention and you can't get out of your head because they're so funny, but there's just a couple that you've probably heard around the house before, and these are the ones that you should at least know for pop culture references. Now, in this quote, Maverick is trying to win over a girl in front of all of his little pilot friends, and getting all of his friends to serenade just one girl is something that he does all too often, and Goose is just tired of it.
But, she's lost that love and feeling.
She's like, no, she hasn't.
Yes, she has.
She has not lost that love.
Goose, she's lost it.
Matt, come on. I hate it when she does that.
This next quote needs no true introduction, but I guess I'm kind of giving one anyway. I am certain you've heard someone say this one before.
I feel the need for speed.
Another iconic thing about this film, aviators. You can't go wrong with a pair of aviators. Moving right along with the film, if you're not going to watch the whole thing, you might as well watch these top 2 scenes. The first one is the volleyball scene. I hope your parents at least know about the volleyball scene if y'all don't. Here's a small glimpse of what y'all have been missing out on your whole life if you haven't seen this movie before. Growing up and not knowing what Top Gun was, I still knew that there was something about a volleyball scene that my mom was just obsessed with. Shirtless, sweaty, naval aviators playing volleyball on a hot California day. The girls go wild every time for it. And you gotta love how Goose refuses to take off his shirt the whole time. The next scene is the final fight sequence. Up until this point in the film, all of their time spent in the air has just been practice. But this time, there is a real threat. They've got real gunfire, real missiles, and a real enemy ahead of them. And Maverick has to take action, and it's a little bit different than all the other times you've seen them in the air thus far in the movie. Although this is a major scene that you need to see in the film, there are also many other scenes in the movie with them in the air that are a little bit more comedic that I also love so much. But if you're talking about action, this is where it's at. This is where you're gonna get your action in the film. That sounds really weird. Lastly, I wanted to talk about my personal favorite parts of the film. My favorite part of this entire film is whenever Goose's family comes to visit and they start singing and playing the piano, Great Balls of Fire, in the middle of a diner. This is whenever we finally get to meet Goose's wife, and although she is not a major character, she is one of the best characters in the entire film. She's so funny, so much like Goose. You can see why they're a perfect match.
Hey, Goose, you big stud!
That's me, honey.
Take me to bed or lose me forever.
Show me the way home, honey. You broke my will? Oh, what a thrill. Goodness gracious, Great Balls of Fire.
Another thing that I love about the movie is the soundtrack. If y'all know 80s movies, you know they are all known for their soundtracks, their music. It's also intense. You've got the song Danger Zone by Kenny Loggins, which is the main theme of Top Gun. Kenny Loggins also sings Footloose, if y'all didn't know already. And then you've also got the song Take My Breath Away by Berlin, which is basically the song that appears anytime Maverick and Charlie, his love interest, are together. One thing I absolutely love about 80s movies is that they are not subtle whatsoever. It'll be dead silent, and then within an instant, you have blaring music through the speakers. And it's there. That's the same thing that happens with this song. Unfortunately, we're reaching the end of this movie review, so here's some concluding thoughts. I definitely recommend that y'all watch the entire film. Not just these little scenes, not just searching, Googling the most iconic quotes, really sitting down and watching the whole thing. The storyline is amazing. The pacing of the movie is really great. You have a good mix of humor, all of the seriousness of the film, action. It just all jumps back together and it fits so perfectly. Now, if you can't watch the whole thing, I understand, but you'll never truly experience all that Top Gun has to offer. I hope this review helped y'all learn a little bit more about Top Gun, and please let me know of other movies that I should definitely review that y'all have seen and that others should watch. See y'all next time.